Greetings, fellow masters! It is I, the bell tolls. Today we have another farming video in store for you, and it covers one of the most required mats in the game, Void's Dust. Or if you're on JP, Void's Refuse. I honestly had no idea it was a possessive until just now when looking it up. The more you know. Anyway, dust is something you'll find a lot of servants need, and in large quantities. Just look at this list. Most of these servants need over 100. So yes, you'll be wanting to get your hands on this stuff. Fortunately, as a bronze mat, it drops pretty much everywhere. There are a few upcoming events to take note of if you need dust as well. The last 4 free quests of the 2018 Valentine's event all have dust in their drop tables. The Guda Guda rerun has 20 dust in the shop. Seraph has 10 dust from mission clears. The Rashomon rerun has 20 dust in the shop, and all the free quests on day 5 drop it. The Onigashima rerun has the Hot Springs node to farm it. 3 different nodes in Summer 2 rerun have it. Lots of nodes in Summer Race have it. Neurofest has 30 in the shop and the first 40 AP node drops it. 3 different nodes in Halloween 3 drop it. Then you can get 40 from the Little Santa Altar rerun. And that covers this year of events. Let me know if I should do this for future farming guides. Events aside, if you click this video, I assume that means you want dust right now. The best place to do that would be Charlotte in America, where you can expect a 64% drop rate on it per run. It's still on top in JP as well. As a bonus, there's a 51% drop rate for Heroes Proofs. It's not the best, but farming synergy is always nice. Now, time for the enemy breakdown. This node is a bit of a mixed bag, having a caster, archers, lancers, and berserkers. It may seem intimidating at first, but let's go over it. Wave 1 has a 17k caster and 2 17k archers. I can already sense my boy Spartacus rearing up to crush the oppressors. Wave 2 is beefier, with a 37.3k lancer, 46.8k berserker, and a 50.2k berserker. You could face card this with crits maybe, but who wants to do that? Moving on. Wave 3 is a 38.5k Lancer, 103.7k Berserker, and 103.1k Lancer. This is where the AoEs and high level NPs are going to come into play. And since it's a Berserker and 2 Lancers, we can slot an AoE Saber in there nicely. Onto the strategies. Starting off, we've got our good old F2P comp. We begin with God of Berserkers Spartacus. Once again, a lot of it has to do with his NP charge, which from now on I'll be referring to as a battery. Unfortunately, it needs to be a pretty high level to be super useful, as it starts off at a mere 10%. If you haven't skilled him up much, you'll need to face card this wave a bit to get his NP. You might actually kill the wave with face cards before he's at 100%. That's why it's important you have some sort of initial NP like an MLB Dragon's Meridian. Obviously a K-Scope is optimal, but any of the 50% event CEs or imaginary element can work as well. The higher the better, usually. Here I have an MLB imaginary element, so I'm able to use his battery to get his NP. You might need to use his buster buff just to ensure that it one-shots the first wave, because he won't always make it. Now before we get to the second wave, let me mention our support servant, Waver. You'll need him for his battery skills because our next 2 servants don't have any of their own. In comes our next servant, Fergus. This is the guy you'll be buffing to 100% for wave 2. At MP1, he'll get the berserkers down to around 10k health, which is easy enough to finish off with face cards. With higher NP levels, he'll outright one-shot the whole wave. If you want a 100% success rate on that, he'll need MP5 and at least 8400 attack, which is where his minimum damage roll is still enough to take out the Shadow Spartacus. But that Shadow Servant probably won't be at full health anyway, thanks to our third servant, Saber Lily, equipped with any variety of initial charge CE. She sadly doesn't have a battery, so you'll have to get an Arch Chain or some Arts face cards to get her to 100%. With her own buffs, Waver's attack buff, and the Plug Suit buff, she should get the last wave anywhere from 20k health to limping at less than 5k, making it easy to finish off. Also, if you've had good pulls, you could replace her with either Mordred or Artoria. And if you have your own Waver, you can use a friend Artoria or Mordred. Use whatever combination is available to you. As mentioned before, the Mystic code here will be Plug Suit. Now before I move on to the cheap to play comp, let me offer an alternative F2P comp. I'm not going to show a video, I'll just briefly show the team. It's similar, but I've swapped Spartacus for a Rash. Arash has a better starting battery, and his NP is a free Plug Suit swap. He also has no class advantages on wave 1 and hits hard. You also use Mages Association, which I'll henceforth call Hogwarts. This means you only need to arts card 10% for Saber Lily instead of 30%. You might need to face card more in the last wave, but if you don't like using Plug Suit, this is a good alternative. With the F2P comps out of the way, we can finally move on to cheap to play. Did not intend for that to run, so this might look a little strange, but bear with me here. Our first servant is Nitocris, who is an absolute god at trash mob killing. If you level up her battery to 8, she can get to 100% charge by herself, so with something like a Black Grail, her damage easily clears first waves. Add on to that her death gimmick, which actually procs more often than you might think, and she's the Wave 1 Queen. I'm using Black Grail here because that's just what I prefer in her, but you can use just about anything, especially if you have her at higher than NP1. Overall, she's just a great servant for taking out smaller mobs without needing assistance from anyone else. Keep in mind if she's NP1, you will need some sort of damage boosting CE. As little as 10% would help. Black Grail, Halloween Princess, Holy Night Supper, and Golden Sumo come to mind. She'll need at minimum 10,000 attack to consistently clear the first wave. And of course, if you don't have Nito, a Rash is a good substitute here because Stella is OP. Next up is Fran, equipped with a K-Scope for that easy NP. At NP1 with 10,000 attack, along with waiver buffs and a level 6 NP buff, she can usually take out this wave. It goes without saying that with higher NP levels, CEs, and Fooing, she'll be even more consistent. If you don't have Fran, other AoEs such as Saber Alter, Saber Lily, Fergus, Altera, Mordred, etc. should do just fine as replacements. I haven't run the numbers on them like I have with Fran, but with class advantage and buffs they should work fine. The last servant in our lineup is Artoria, but it could just as well be Saber Alter. Artoria does have the advantage of being a 5-star and having naturally more attack, but Salter can go toe-to-toe with her in terms of damage, at least into the higher NP levels. With a damage buffing CE like Holy Night Supper or Halloween Princess, both Artoria and her edgy twin can shred the last wave. Our support is Waver again to plug the holes in our NP gauges. He'll top off Fran and be able to max out Artoria with Discerning Eye. Add on the bonus damage and the lunchtime CE he probably has for Bond and you've got your golden boy. No, not that one. This one. We're using Plug Suit once again, but if you opted for a Rash instead of Nito for Wave 1, it's not necessary and you can go with whatever Mystic Code you want. If you're worried about damage, you can still use the buff on Plug Suit, or further secure your victory with Anniversary Blonde. Finally, we're onto the Whale Comp. You probably saw something like this coming. It's a pretty standard setup if you have these kinds of resources. Ideally, these would be NP5 and Mordred would have a Super Scope, but you get the idea. Nito self-sufficiently destroys Wave 1, Mordred does her Buster buff and destroys Wave 2, then Artoria does the same with the final wave. 3 buffs, 3 MPs, 3 turns. Well, okay, 4 buffs if you have to use Mordred's NP buff. Then again, that's the only reason she's there. With a second MLB K-Scope, I could put just about any AoE Saber there, even Fergus. That'd be a good idea to save on team cost and bond. And then there's Waver in the back helping us grow closer to our servants. He's a good wingman. Mystic Code doesn't matter here because the skills aren't necessary. Once again, we've come to the end of another farming guide. Obviously, these aren't the only team comps that conclude this node, they're just ones that I was able to math out and personally test. Feel free to experiment on your own, that's half the fun, at least for me. As always, thank you for watching and let me know what you thought. Hopefully, it helped you grind out that dust and grow closer to 999 Nirvana. If you want, do the standard stuff like commenting, liking, and subscribing, but I don't mind. It's more important to me that you found something useful from this video. I do this to help my fellow masters after all. And because I really like tinkering with lower tier servants and finding out how I can combine them to make feasible 3 to 4 turn strategies. Like I said in a previous video, every node is like a puzzle just waiting to be figured out. With that, I'll take my leave. Farewell for now, fellow masters. May your farming be bountiful and may the bell never toll for you. Until next time.